Welcome back, Addicts. We're continuing our coverage with E3, starting with Microsoft's conference. I'm joined with Colt. And it's the first time you've been here.
Yeah, first time I've been here doing my thing. I'm just kind of... I am very emotionally high after the last conference that we just watched, but I am also very excited for, I think, what games are to come this year and next year, and hopefully in the future.
Yeah, because I was surprisingly joyful about Microsoft's conference. I didn't really think we were going to see a whole lot, and it turned out to impress me, really. So
yeah, same here. Even the game that I didn't really see, because I kind of watched the beginning when we rewatched, or when we were looking for another game again. Halo Infinite looked good. I've never really been too big on Halo. I mean, don't get me wrong, I loved the first 3 games. And then I just kind of fell off after I was kind of like, I don't see the point anymore. But that's just my opinion there.
Yeah, because Halo is like one of those franchises where it's getting to the point where it feels like it's dragged on. And though, we didn't see much. All we saw was the trailer. And it looks like it could be promising for people that are hardcore Halo fans. But for me personally, it didn't really do anything for me.
I just, like I said, I've never really been too big on Halo. I liked the first 3 games, but just, I don't know, it just kind of seems like the series is slowly getting ruined over and over again. But I mean, there are the people who are going to love that game, and it's just not for me.
Yeah. Sadly, we don't have our Halo expertise. Michael is not here. Michael and Graham, fortunately, could not join us for our discussions over the Microsoft and Bethesda conference, but he did pass over some thoughts that he had on it, and he kind of felt the same way. He's looking forward to some new stuff that they release, but he's not overly hyped, which I feel like that's pretty well said. But getting on to probably the next big game would be the Ori and the Will of the Wisps, which is the sequel to the other one that they had a couple years ago. I think it's been a couple years.
Yeah, it's been a couple years. I'm going to be honest, I don't really remember it too well. The only Wisp game that I can really think of was, like, if I remember right, it was kind of like a 2D platformer kind of game.
Yeah, that's the one. This is the sequel for. It has a vibe of Rayman, which is kind of cool. I thought the visuals were beautiful. I really am tempted to get that for my Xbox just to play on 4K. But it looks like it's fun. Like I said, if you're a fan of Rayman, this would be definitely a game that you're probably interested in. And so far, all we have is a 2019 release, nothing specific. The next title would be Sekiro. Hopefully I'm saying that right. Shadows Die Twice, which was a great kind of throw-off, because everybody was suspecting this game to be Bloodborne 2, and it turned out to be this, and I was not disappointed.
You see, I'm not going to lie to you, Josh. My opinion on it at first was like, I'm looking at this thing and I'm saying to myself, there's no way this is not going to be a Bloodborne 2 or something. Oh, heck no. The way they did it with the Japanese stuff, the samurais, the swords, the weapons, just all the creatures just felt so different from what a Bloodborne and a...
like a Neo?
Yeah, kind of like that. To me, when I saw that game, my first thought was, this is a Bloodborne. Or a Dark Souls kind of game. But then, looking deeper into it, I think there's going to be a lot more to it than those 2 games have to offer. Granted, I think it's going to be in the same genre of game. You know what I mean?
Yeah, for sure. I think my personal opinion about it is that, you know how people were comparing God of War to Dark Souls?
Yeah.
But then when you actually got a hold of it, you're like, this is much more than Dark Souls. It has that kind of initial vibe when you pick it up. But in terms of like feeling all the hits, the weight of every strike, you do have like a shield aspect, but it has so many other elements that it capitalizes and changes from like the traditional Dark Souls or Bloodborne, and I feel like it's something like that where it has that kind of style of gameplay, but it adds so many different features. We saw the guy like using grappling hooks, jumping over people, doing dives. It looks something that's like really cool.
It just looked really great. And I have absolutely nothing to complain about with that game. Nothing at all.
I'm with you there. I'm looking forward to that 100%. The one that we saw right after that was, let's see here. Well, we saw a trailer for Fallout 76.
I love the beautiful landscape that it has.
Yes.
I love the music that they had playing with the trailer. And even though I know, it's set in West Virginia, it just fit just so perfectly with what they were trying to do. And I think if they can accomplish that, that feeling of West Virginia, they could pull off what they want to do. But like I said, I'm going to say my feelings for the actual game until we talk about Bethesda. So
yeah, my official impressions was it was promising. Like you were saying, the landscape, the music really helps set the vibe and like kind of building your excitement. I felt really like excited just to see what new they were going to bring to it. We saw a bunch of enemies that we had never seen before in the Fallout universe that looked amazing. I loved the use of the new enemies, and I was really the only thing that seemed really odd to me is since it's the setting, since the year, the landscape didn't seem quite to match that occasionally. But that's all I'm going to say right now.
And I agree with that because looking at the trailer itself, so let's I liked Fallout 4. I'm not that big of a fan of it because I hated the building and all that stuff, but that's a different story. But with this, at least during the Xbox conference or Microsoft conference, whatever you want to call it, I had high hopes for this game. I sat there and I was like, yes, this is exactly what I'm looking for. But I see your point, because looking at Fallout 4, Fallout 3, Fallout New Vegas, they were all desolate landscapes. It looked like they were just destroyed and had been bombarded and just were gone.
You really get that feel of nuclear wasteland.
Exactly, but when I'm looking at this trailer, I get this feeling of just a rural landscape where you're out in the country. You're just doing your regular farming thing. And, I felt a little disconnected from the wasteland with that. But other than that, during that Microsoft conference, I really had no problems.
Yeah, I'm definitely looking forward to seeing what they had more at this point.
Yep.
Getting on to the next game, which is Captain Spirit, which is from the Life is Strange and set in the same universe.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, my thing is that, right, I loved Life is Strange. Life is Strange was one of those games that I thought was not going to be good. Not going to be good at all. But then I actually played it, and I was like, wow, this actually gives me the feeling of, like, I'm in this world. I have to care about these characters. And it just wrenches your heart out, and it's just like, It really made me feel like my life was strange, like I was probably going insane. But looking at this Captain Spirit, I understand that it's more focused towards the younger audience. Not me. Granted, I am pretty young. Look at me. I have this fantastic full beard. I'm like 12 years old.
You're as young as you feel.
I feel pretty young right now. I don't know why. But when I'm looking at this game, I do get that Life is Strange feel. My issue with it had to be, and I loved that it was targeted towards younger kids. I liked that. But if I had one issue with it, is that I don't see how they're going to
capture the same vibe.
Well, not even really that, because I think they can do that just fine with how they tell stories, especially with the whatever DLC they put out for Life is Strange last. They kept it. They changed it a lot, but they kept that same vibe. What I'm mainly thinking of is, can they manage to tell this story correctly in a way that makes me feel like it's in the Life is Strange universe, and not like it's kind of set apart from itself. And that's kind of my worry, is that, if this thing's set apart from itself, well, what do I do now? You know what I mean? It's kind of worrying to me.
Yeah. Personally, I haven't delved into the Life is Strange games yet. I've heard really good things about it, and seeing this makes me curious to go back and play these. I thought one of the best moves that they did in terms of this game was saying that it was going to be 100% free, and it's going to be available relatively soon on June 26th. So I guess, I don't want anything to be bad, but I guess that will soften the blow. If they didn't quite land the hit right, at least it's free and there's not any lost investment.
Yeah.
But I really do have, I'm willing to support it and see if it lives up to the other games that they've established in the universe.
I would agree with that.
Moving on, we see our first look of Crackdown after its delay. which this is a game that I initially, when they first showed it,
Terry Crews the game.
It really is Terry Crews the game. His model is on point.
Okay, so I'm just gonna say this. I love Terry Crews. I've played some of the Crackdown games. I'm not the biggest fan after Crackdown 2. Because, they kind of got rid of the whole demolition aspect of it. They didn't get rid of it, but they really toned it down a lot. This one seems like they tried to bring it back. They might have tried a little bit too hard. But
I can see that.
I really just feel like this is I guess the best way to say it is Terry Crews from the Expendables, the game, set in the future.
Yeah, that's a good way to put it. When this game was first announced, I was really intrigued by it because, I was like you. I didn't love the Crackdown series, but I definitely enjoyed it and had fun with it.
Yep.
And especially seeing how the whole map was destructible, that was really intriguing to me. It does look like they've scaled down that destruction, which leaves me a little disappointed, but the game still looks good. I do say that since it's being pushed back to 2019, I don't know how well it's going to grab my attention when it actually comes out, but it's still something that, will probably be worth playing at eventually.
Yeah.
But, we got a February 2019 release, which February's getting packed full, which actually brings us on to our next game that's going to be released in February 22nd, actually, which is Metro Exodus, which, my God, that game looks good.
Okay, so if you guys haven't played the Metro games before, basically it's based off of a book that I would highly recommend reading. They do have a first game, and I can't remember what the first game. It might have just been called Metro. Actually, I think it was called Metro 2099.
I think you're right.
And then there was Metro First Light, and which that was playable on both consoles. And I think Metro 2099 might have just been playable only on Xbox. I don't remember off the top of my head. But Metro is basically this whole thing is that think of it as like a Fallout, but instead of having like laser weapons and everything kind of being futuristic, but also set in the past. You had to kind of find weapons, but you also have weapons that your people made by themselves, by hand.
Yeah.
Because I remember when I played Metro First Light, it was... I remember me and Graham kind of joking about this when we saw the trailer. There was a gun that you actually had to pump up before you could shoot it.
Yeah. That reminded me a little bit about the other one in Fallout.
Yep.
Where you have to get the laser musket.
Crank it.
Yeah.
But I just remember that first game, Metro Last Light, and I did end up playing Metro 2099 because I had a friend who had an Xbox, let me play it with him. Actually, no, I think I got it. No, you know what it was? I played it on PlayStation when they remastered it, is what it was. But this one I am very hyped for if they can keep that Metro feel, if they can keep that whole Metro idea. You actually have to kind of be down in the Metro to be safe. Like, sure, there's creatures that come out at night, but if you're in the Metro, you're always safe because you always got people guarding you and you always have these other things going on. I am just the most hyped for probably this game out of any game. Yeah. Other than, well, we'll get on to that.
Yeah, honestly, everything Colton says I agree with, and I feel the same way. This game has an incredible feel to it, and even though I'm not playing it, I can kind of feel the vibes coming off of the video, that it's just got a real gritty, real... I don't want to say realistic because I know people butcher me for that, but it does have that kind of sense where it's set kind of in a real world if these circumstances happen.
Yes.
And I'm looking forward to it. The weapons look awesome. The gunplay looks fun. I'm all down.
Yep.
I'm ready for February.
So moving along to the next game.
Yes, which another one that Colton is super psyched for, I know, and this is Kingdom Hearts.
Oh, baby. Oh, baby. Okay, so for those of you who don't know, actually, I guess you don't even know this anything about me because I didn't put it in my bio, but I am the world's biggest Kingdom Hearts fan. I played Kingdom Hearts, I think it was Chained, when it was on the freaking, what is it, Game Boy Color Advance or whatever it was. I played that. And you know how bad that is. I played all the games that came out on the Nintendo DS. I played all the games that came out for PlayStation. Oh my, and just how much I cried at the end of Kingdom Hearts 2, and Kingdom Hearts 1, because you leave your girlfriend behind, and she's like, no, you have to come with me, and you're like, nah, I gotta save this world over here. Oh my lord. Now, okay, my issue with it is that I have been waiting for so long. My hype's kinda died down, but seeing that trailer, I understand there's a Frozen Land, and a lot of people are going to hate them for that. But there's also going to be Toy Story. There's going to be Hercules coming back. There's going to be Monsters, Inc. coming in for the first time. There's probably going to be a Nightmare Before Christmas coming in again. Oh my gosh, I am just so hyped.
Yeah, my cousin was super into Kingdom Hearts when they first got it, and so that was one of the first games I was experienced to. Yep. Maybe not so much playing it, but just watching it and thinking like, wow, this is really cool. And, I'm not somebody that dives in too deep with the Kingdom Hearts. If I played this one, I'm definitely going to have to ask you, like, what's the lore behind this? But I can tell you right now that the gameplay, the weapons, the way that certain levels were designed, how they change up the art style between the different, I guess, would you call them maps or worlds?
So the weird thing about it is that they call them worlds. Some people call them maps, but they are different worlds. And I know this is what sets a lot of people off, is that they understand that since it's made by Square Enix, it also has Final Fantasy characters in it, along with the Disney characters, so that sets a lot of people off as mainly the Disney characters. But what I will say is that if you want to get into the games, that includes any of you guys listening to this, I would suggest playing the Remix 1.5, 2.5, and 2.8, because you get all the games from all of those, from on one disc, basically. You get, 3 discs, but you get the point. And a little short movie that helps explain a little bit more on the 2.8 disc. And I just think overall it's really worth playing those to get the feel again of what Kingdom Hearts is and what it was supposed to be. And then when 3 comes out, you can be like, I understand everything. This is going to be a great game, and I can't wait.
Yeah, like I said, I know I'm saying probably a lot about this, but it does really look promising. I can't wait to see more, because even though it's not a game that I may play at launch or a game that I find I'm not looking forward to specifically, personally, I think it's a game that is going to be good, has potential, and it looks like if you're a fan of the series, it's definitely up your range. So, getting onto that, we see a glimpse of Battlefield 5, and I am just telling you what, I am shocked they didn't show Battle Royale. And I don't say that as a good thing. I'm just shocked that they didn't show it
because it was already confirmed. Well,
it was already confirmed, and also, I just feel like they should have showed it, because the people that are looking forward to it, they get a taste of it, and then it gives them an opportunity to, kind of clear the wire with people that are, on the fence or maybe are against it, and to kind of give them a glimpse of what it looks like. I don't even know if we saw gameplay that I'm recollecting. I know we saw a trailer, but, again, it didn't really wow me.
Here
Forza Horizon 4. Most interesting Forza. They went on to say that there's going to be world events, that the weather, seasons, are going to play a part in how the game operates. It's going to be a share world. It is coming out this year on October 2nd.
Yeah.
For somebody that's not a racing fan, not for me. I can't say much, but
you see that the thing is, I'm not gonna lie, I used to be into racing games. I liked the Blur, I liked the ATV and the motorcycle games. I liked those, but this just feels like an attempt for Forza and this Playground Games, who, when I looked them up, they had no games made before this Forza Horizon 4.
Yeah.
And my issue is that I understand weather's going to change things, the season's going to change things, these world events are going to do things, but I don't think personally for myself that I could pick up this game reliably and say, I'm going to do my best to have fun, because there's going to be other cars trying to run you over. There's going to be those people that are just going to be complete jerks and are just going to, screw with your game all day. What I look for in a racing game isn't a NASCAR game. I'm not looking to take another left turn and then another left turn. You know what I mean? But what I'm looking for in a racing game is something more like a Blur, which is basically just a racing game, but it's also got the Mario Kart aspect of having items that you can place down, and actually try and hurt your enemies. Whereas this new game just seems to be this open world, you can do whatever you want, and it's magical kind of thing. I'm kind of like...
Yeah. I do feel like that's mainly what Forza's been known for, is their more realistic approach to, like, just recreational driving or, like, sports-filled driving.
Yeah.
But I don't know, because it feels like they wanted to go in a different direction, but they didn't capitalize on it, because they're like, oh, it's still a racing game, you're still trying to get ahead of other people, but you're doing it in a shared world, which I don't really see the need in having an open world, if they're going to do that. But
not only that, but
know.
the other thing is that they also have all those Need for Speed games that are already that.
Yeah.
And that, I mean, sure, the Need for Speed games don't have the seasons and whatnot, but just, come on, man. Yeah. You guys didn't need to make it open world. If you wanted to make it open world, you could have done so much more, I feel. I mean, that's my personal opinion there. I can't get behind this game.
Yeah. I don't know. It might be for somebody out there, but for us, especially since we're more of the Mario Kart, maybe like GTA racing, where there's something, there's like a goal in mind to not only win, but to get the other players off the track. If you're more of like that kind of fan like we are, you may not like this. And even if you're a hardcore Forza fan, you may find this like a misdirection that you're not down with. But, if you just like racing in general, I'd check it out at least.
Yeah.
See if you like it. Let us know, definitely, if you guys are interested in it. I'm curious to see what racing fans have to
And
say
don't
about
forget
it.
to always take those left turns. Never take a right one. You never know what's going to happen.
Probably a cliff, because they do have jumps. But anyway, moving on. We saw We Happy Few, which I don't know if we had a release date before, but we do have a release date now, which is August 10th of this year, so it's very close.
I one of my favorite YouTubers, his name is, I think his name's like Tears of Grace or something like that.
Shout out.
Shout out, Tears of Grace. He'll never watch this, I'm sad. But he played the beta for it, and I won't lie, I was happily surprised by the game. I sat there, I was like, this is going to be kind of stupid, this can't be fun. But then I sat there and I was kind of watching him play this thing, and I was kind of like, wow, this actually seems interesting, because from what I watch is that you have to sometimes take this, the pill called joy, to get into certain areas, or to get away with certain things, or to do certain things, because if you don't take it, the cops will come after you, residents will come after you, and you'll just...
It's kind of like a brainwashing pill, too, so...
Yeah, exactly.
It's got like that, I give it a BioShock feel. That's how I would describe it.
Mm-hmm.
Division 2, which I think you and I would agree that this reveal started off strong and then it fizzled out real quick.
It fizzled out really quick, for me at least, when we're watching this reveal, right? And they're showing the gameplay, and this is what I hear. Okay, Matt, we gotta go here. And I'm sorry, but I'm pretty sure most of the people watching us are at least fellow gamers or something like that. Or at least people who understand gaming culture and know that gamers, though there are some, and they're usually really close friends, they can do this, they can go mission, mission, mission. But most gamers, even if they are friends, are yelling at each other like, hey, I need you over here. But they were just kind of like, okay, guys, we got to get this airplane. Matt, cover me.
Yeah.
And they weren't really interrupting each other like a real gaming group would.
I would say, though, something that he got on really spot on is the one guy in the squad that's like, hey, I'm down. And then, like, thanks, Meg. And then, like, 2 minutes later, he's like, dang it, I'm down again. And I just thought that was hilarious because I'm like, that's actually the truest thing about this presentation.
Yep.
But,
And the other thing, I know this set you off, too. I know this kind of bothered me, him, and Graham, at least. The guns.
Oh, yeah.
The guns did not sound like guns. They sounded like airsoft guns being shot by 12-year-olds in the forest with all their buddies. And I was just like,
Yeah. Now, I do know not Destiny. The Division does have that leveled type weapons, so I don't know if that's just something that they're like, this is a lower tier weapon, and we want you to try to convey that with a less powerful sounding gun. I don't know. That might be just an excuse trying to make on their part. I don't believe this was alpha footage, so I don't know if that's something that they're planning on touching.
That looked like beta footage.
Yeah, so, like I said, I don't know. I think if somebody enjoyed the first Division, they'll probably be way more hyped than we are. I honestly can't say much about this game. I mean, we saw a very little demo of this game. And like Colton was saying, with the team aspect, focusing on team aspects, it's like a hit or miss. I guess it worked for the first one, so I guess we'll see, you know. But personally, that's another one that's just not doing it to me. I would have been way more excited if it was a Splinter Cell reveal than if it was the Division 2.
I would have even been more hyped if it would have been a Wildlands 2.
Yeah, you know, I mean, that's another game that I feel like has a little bit more potential in like what they can do. But I did like the setting, though. I thought the setting in the first cinematic trailer seemed pretty cool.
No, see, I agree. It like you said, it started off real strong, but then as you watch the gameplay, something just kind of fell off about it. And you just kind of sit there and you're like, it kind of left a bitter taste in my mouth.
Yeah, it's like one of those things where you're like, I like the concept, but I'm not sure if they really nailed it on the gameplay aspect. But
anyway, moving on to number 15, Tomb Raider.
Yes,
yes.
Shadow of the Tomb Raider that is set to release.
Oh, I thought it was Tomb Raider Foot Lettuce.
Foot Lettuce. You got me. But yeah, this game is set to release later this year in September. I know a lot of people were commenting. We were talking about this a little bit. A lot of people were commenting when they first revealed this trailer that why does Lara Croft look like a man? And I saw it when they first released the first trailer. And this one, I felt like they fixed it. I felt like they did something because it doesn't look the same.
They definitely made Laura. They definitely made Laura look more like a woman in this.
Yeah. As far as the game, what you want to say on
so, game wise, I will most likely play it personally. But I think I won't get it until it's a little bit cheaper than retail price. But what my thought is that with how Tomb Raider is, I understand that it came out before Uncharted ever did, but I feel like Uncharted is the better version of the two. Now, my reason behind this is, at least from what I've seen of Tomb Raider games, now, I haven't played the most recent one, so people can correct me on this, but it's mostly just her bow, her climbing pickaxe thing, a pistol, and maybe her karate skills. But from what I've seen, I'm just kind of like, I'll play it. I'll even play the first one so that I can get a feel for what this one might be. But I just feel like Uncharted did it better.
Yeah, that's something that I always thought the new Tomb Raiders looked like a good game.
Yeah.
I never denied that. It was something that I even got free for the Xbox free month a while back, and I played the first, I would say 30 minutes, hour. I will say I didn't play much more than that because it didn't really grip me, which I think that's something that, for me personally, Uncharted seemed to grip me a little bit more in terms of how it did the story, the locations that it spreads throughout the game, the variety and weapons and way that you can take down people. Like Colton said, I don't know too much about it. I have seen footage of the multiplayer in Tomb Raider, and
there's multiplayer?
Yeah, there's actually a multiplayer component. At least on the first one there was, and there's variety in weapons and stuff on that. So
who knows?
I feel like there must have been some. If not, I feel like that was a little bit drop of the ball. But like Colton, cautiously optimistic. It looks about the same as all the other ones, so it's like, and I'll definitely support the next movie if it comes out.
Oh yeah, next movie was good too. Yeah, movie was good too.
But moving on, we get our first look at Session, which...
Okay, so this is another one. I'm gonna tell you this, and I'm gonna tell them this. I love skate games, right? Played all the old Tony Hawk games. Played all the skate games. I didn't play the new Tony Hawk game after I heard how we don't talk about that game. But this game, Session, just something about the feel of it, the look of it just gripped me and it made me want to play it. But then I looked back at the Tony Hawk game and I was like, can they really pull it off? Can they pull off something that won't throw me through a wall every 10 seconds while I'm just trying to skate?
Well, if it has Skate 3's physics, you might be able to throw yourself through a wall. I mean...
Okay, but that's different. See, if I wanted to do it on purpose is what I mean. Like,
Yeah, I got you.
If I'm sitting there and I'm just trying to grind on a rail and then all of a sudden, like, you know, like I'm in the middle of a skate park and then all of a sudden I'm in the wall of a building, like, how did I get here?
Yeah. You know, we didn't... I don't even know if we saw gameplay technically. It might have been just a...
It was just a trailer, but,
yeah.
you know... And see, that's another reason why I'm kind of hopefully optimistic about this, is I'm kind of like...
I feel like if it's got physics like Skate does, you know, where you can sit there and it's like... I don't want it to be one of those games where it takes itself too seriously when you, like, crash or, like, just sitting there, like, cussing out your mic. I do want it to where it's like, you know, it's still fun to watch or do wipeouts. And if it's something like that, I'm totally in. I would definitely play it with you guys.
Yeah.
And I'm looking forward to seeing actual gameplay from it. So
Hopefully.
Which this next title is Black Desert.
Okay, so I told them while we watched this I would play it. And here's my reason behind it. I understand it's an MMORPG. But I think the story behind it, if I could get this guy to play with me a little bit, maybe Graham or Michael, if Michael decides to invest in
A PS4.
I might invest in an Xbox eventually again, but, you know, whatever. But I'm going to play it just for the sheer fact that I want to see where it goes. I've done this with a lot of the MMORPG games recently. You know, I did ESO for like an hour and then mindless fetch quests.
Hint.
But I'm gonna be very cautiously optimistic about this because my main worry is that it's gonna turn out to be a microtransaction, just loot box EA fest, and that's my main worry. But I will say, from what we saw from the cinematic trailer, it looked amazing.
Yeah. I mean, I feel like microtransactions is something that is almost, I don't want to say a given because then they might implement it, but, you know, I feel like that's something that a lot of MMOs do capitalize on, either eventually or at launch. I'm with Colton. When we first saw the gameplay, I couldn't really even tell it was an MMO. It looked like a AAA game that maybe would have had multiplayer or maybe just a single-player story. So that had me intrigued for it saying that it was an MMO. I do really want to check this out to see how much of an MMO it feels. Mm-hmm. But, you know, like most things, we just have to wait till we see gameplay, which... Obviously, with it being a cinematic trailer, it might be a huge difference.
Well, I mean, there was gameplay in there that I saw,
bit.
And it looked good, but I agree with you.
Yeah, so this next title, I am super psyched for because we haven't seen a hack and slash game in forever. Mm-hmm. And this is Devil May Cry 5. Okay, so now I know what a lot of people are going to say here. But didn't DMC, like, do horrible... Yes, you are right. DMC was a terrible game. I played it and beat it multiple times just to prove that I could. At least the fourth. Just the fourth one. The rest were pretty good.
Well, I mean, whenever... Basically, people will say Devil May Cry 1, 2, and 3. But if they hear DMC, they're like... Right. Ugh.
They do a cringe.
Mainly just because I felt Dante in that game was just a really big crybaby. Just this huge crybaby.
Yeah, which from what we saw mostly gameplay, which I thought that was probably the best aspect of it. Yep. So with a lot of the trailers, especially Microsoft is known for doing cinematic stuff, and we saw actual gameplay. And
here's my main worry about this game, is that we know it's not Dante that you play as most of the game, if any of the game. At least that's what it seems like, because it seems to be this new character that they're introducing along with maybe his like partner in crime or girlfriend. I'm not exactly sure.
Yeah, we don't have much info. They didn't really give, even when the developers came out and talked for a little bit, they didn't give any specifics to the story or Cuphead.
Yep. I think me and you need to do a playthrough of Cuphead.
It's going to be grueling, but I'm up for it, especially now that we can add 3 people, which is the new aspect of it. We have a new character, at least one new character that we know of.
So, here's the thing that I remember watching from many YouTubers that I've watched play it is that there's certain areas in Cuphead, right? And there are these crypts that you can go into, and this Chalice character, whose name we now know as Miss Chalice, or the legendary Chalice, as they called her first, is this kind of weird ghost cup thing. And she's like, hey, if you save me, I'll give you, I think, like a bunch of money or something like that, or a bunch of coins. And, you know, you do that, it's not too hard of a thing to do, but, I mean, it seems that this might go to 3-player. I kind of hope so.
I kind of hope there's a 4th player, too, but... Because
yeah,
seems like an odd number.
Jolly Iron Chef, or whatever that was. But, as you pointed out, at the end of the trailer, it only showed Cuphead, Miss Chalice, and Mugman. It didn't show the 4th guy. But who knows, he might.
Yeah, because there was another game, which we're going to get to later on, but they highlighted 3-player, which I don't know how I feel about 3-player. I mean, more the merrier. And, well, I'm not going to say that about every game, but at least in the platformers for couch co-op, I do like 2, 3. I do like 4 just because there's 4 of us, but, you know, we'll see if they add a 4th one. But they didn't specifically say that, so don't quote us here on that. Jumpforce for 2019. This, from what we gathered, is a battle-type styled game that is a competitive multiplayer.
From what I agree with exactly what he's saying, but from what I could see of it, it seemed like it was going to use the Dragon Ball Fighters or Dragon Ball Z in general, like fighting game mechanics of where you can actually like move around the map and destroy mountains and buildings and stuff like that. But not only that, it wasn't just Dragon Ball characters that you see in it. You see Naruto in the trailer. And of course you see probably the 2 most iconic people that go with Dragon Ball, Goku and Frieza. But then, along with those 3 characters, you also see Luffy from One Piece. And you see, I think it's Light Yagami from Death Note with his little monster thing. And oh man, it looks so good.
Yeah, they really wanted to sell the basically culmination of all these iconic anime characters, and I'm really intrigued to see what other characters they're going to add, because obviously, you know, we've seen games for Dragon Ball and like the One Piece game that's coming up and Naruto.
Gearless Joe!
We can hope. But, you know, the extension of characters from Death Note, it just brings open the possibility of like, ooh, are they going to bring in other ones we haven't seen in games ever before?
Now,
and I'm really curious.
Now, here's my main worry. I love the people making it, but it is a Capcom game. Now, just hear me out, people that are listening to this. I know a lot of you guys are going to want to skip over this because I'm being mean to Capcom here. But my main fear is that they're going to add Capcom characters, which I don't think they need to do here because there's plenty of animes that you can draw from. You got Bleach. You got more characters from One Piece. You got, you know, like Death Note, and you got a lot of characters in Dragon Ball Z. You got a lot of anime to draw from. But if like I said, my main worry is just they're gonna bring in someone stupid like Ace Attorney, like they did in, I think it was Marvel vs. Capcom 3 or 4. I don't remember. I don't know.
Yeah, there's definitely potential to add a bunch of characters we haven't seen before, but with Capcom, and they like to have appearances from their other games. So we'll see how that is, but, you know, as of right now, it looks freaking dope, and I can't wait to see more of that and how it actually plays, because that's probably the thing that most intrigued me, was just wanting to know how it actually plays, because I don't think it's like a standard 2D fighter. Which gets me super hyped to see something new. Dying Light 2, which, you know, this game, I want to support Dying Light 2 at some point because of how well the developers of Dying Light 1 supported their game continuously without forcing people to buy things, you know, with the free expansions and whatnot. The world does look cool. They seem to be bringing back parkour in an awesome way. They're bringing in the use of choices in there's a dialogue wheel that will affect.
Now just hear me out here, right? I don't want them to do a Mass Effect issue where they're like, "Oh yeah, your things that you do over here are gonna affect the things in the third game, and then your things don't affect anything," and then you're just kind of like, "Okay."
I don't think so, because I think between the Dying Light games, or at least from 1 to 2, we don't follow the same character. We're not even in the same area. It looks like I can't remember exactly what city it was, but Dying Light 1 was definitely set in the U.S.
Yeah.
And Dying Light 2 looks to be set in England, question mark? It looks somewhere in Europe.
From what I was
area.
looking at least, from what I could tell, it kind of seemed like they weren't really in a different country, because mainly like with the water supply thing, because I think that's a place in the U.S., and what I think is going on is that it's kind of like people reverting back to their old nature. So, we still have guns and stuff like that, but it's people trying to use their fear tactics and their power over everyone to be like, oh, hey, we're going to go kind of back to medieval times, be like, hey, if you pay this much, you're not going to go to hell or whatever. You know what I mean?
Yeah, the reason why I just say that I'm pretty sure it's in Europe, at least that's my speculation, is because the buildings, we don't really, in the U.S., we don't really have really old structures and
but
narrow streets.
I see your point, yeah.
And plus, when they said it has, it's like the modern Dark Ages, and you see a lot of medieval-style settlements and different, people groups in the world, that led me kind of believe that. I mean, it could be, I could be just pulling for stuff here, but that was just basically what I saw. Just from the trailers and like the little bit of gameplay, they said they didn't drop anything. So there might be an interview later up that's going to confirm some of that stuff. But overall, first impressions, I thought it was cool. I want to support it at some point. The next game with this is an old classic returning, and that is Battletoads.
Ah, yes, classic Battletoads.
We didn't get any gameplay, but we did get like a reveal trailer. Which, but I mean, it's Battletoads.
It's Battletoads. I think it's going to be great. That's my personal opinion. People can argue with me. I love Battletoads. It's one of the best classic games ever. Now, this was the one that he was talking about. This is only 3-player co-op. I don't understand everyone's obsession with 3-player co-op. I mean, I think, if I remember right, that's what Battletoads was to begin with anyway.
Yeah, so they're keeping
true to it. But I do kind of wish that there was more to it, but we'll see what comes. We'll see what happens, and we'll see what comes. I'm hyped.
Yeah, and right now it's just scheduled for 2019, so we got a little ways to wait off, but it's just more time for us to get excited about it. Moving on, we saw a glimpse of the new Just Cause game, which is just titled Just Cause 4. So I know a lot of people out there like Just Cause 3, but for somebody that played Just Cause 2, there was a few components that I thought were missing, and I was really disappointed to see that. Plus, I don't know if anybody else had this, but when I played it, the game, it just had trouble keeping up. Like, there was a lot of times I had to, like, force close it and then relaunch it, and then the same thing would happen, like 15, 20 minutes later, and I don't know, it just took me out of the moment, and it really discouraged me from keeping to play it. And it looks like it's running on the same engine, I mean, obviously, since it's coming out so soon. And, they do have a different setting, but I don't know how much of that they fix. Yeah. So I think a lot of this for me will be just to see if they fix some of the technical sides and maybe brought back some old aspects that people liked from the first two.
Yeah.
But right now, I'm not overly stoked for it. If you liked the third one, you'll probably like the fourth one. If you liked the first and second one more, you're going to be like us. You're just going to have to wait and see. Gears Tactics and Gears 5.
And see, the thing that really fell flat for me was the whole thing like, oh, hey, we're getting Funko Pop figures. And then they're like, oh, hey, we're making an XCOM game for your mobile device. And
that was Gears, like the first.
And then they showed Gears 4.
You mean Gears 5?
Gears 5, thank you for correcting me. Yes. Gears 5. And I'm not going to lie to you, after Gears 3, I lost interest. And here's why. That's where the story, I feel, should have ended.
Yeah.
There was nothing that needed to be after that. But Gears, just like Halo, is their moneymaker, so they can't exactly stop. Because, at least for me, and I know people are going to not like me for this and disagree with me, that's where it should have ended. We didn't need Gears 4, we didn't need Gears Judgment, and we don't need Gears 5 with a girl that we're basically sort of just getting introduced to, I believe. She might have been introduced in 4 or Judgment, I don't remember. And the whole thing is she has this locust pendant thing, and she's been having nightmares, so she has to go back to where it all began. It just feels like a needless cash grab for a game that needs to stop.
Yeah, for... Gears fans, I think the core thing that people play the Gears is for the story. I mean, obviously, there's some cool aspects of the gameplay that people really enjoy.
Yeah. And the multiplayer is pretty cool, I will give that.
But I think a lot of people play it for its story. I mean, obviously, this is a game that takes its characters through an emotional ride with a lot of them dying at a lot of different points. And, that's good for a game. But when you start milking a franchise, you're going to have to keep doing what people like to, keep interested. And I feel like it's going to start losing its emotional impact. I every year I look more forward to the new IPs or the IPs that have been only around for like the last 5 years or so. Just because it's really hard when a series has been going on for 10 plus years to keep it fresh and innovative, and especially if it's story driven experience, to keep it engaging. Yep. And I mean, Gears is one of those that, if you're hardcore, you might buy it just for the gameplay. I mean, I'm not gonna lie, the gameplay did look, it looked beautiful. I could tell that it was probably captured in 4K. And, there's some, it has the Gears type gameplay, so, if you're like that, you're going to definitely probably enjoy the gameplay aspect of it. But overall, it's just it's probably starting to get to a former shell of itself. And, that's all I'll say about it, because I really want to get on to your thoughts on the bait and switch that they did for Cyberpunk.
I liked the bait and switch thing that they did. I thought that was a pretty cool idea. Make it look like you're getting hacked.
Yeah.
Granted, I will say this. I wish they would have kept the guy that was doing it in the dark about it, because I think that would have been really funny. Him having him calling event security, we're being hacked, and everyone else knows about it but him. So, he's actually freaking out about it, because to me, he didn't really seem genuine about that freak out, but...
Yeah.
But other than that, oh my lord, it looks like a good game. I want to play it. I want to buy it. I want it to live with me in my house.
Yeah, I kind of had a chuckle to myself when they played, because, I thought, like you said, when they revealed it, I thought it was really cool. I did call that it was Cyberpunk, because it's like the computerized things, and, it just felt like that time. But I did like how they revealed it, because I thought that was a great way to introduce it and kind of be up the intrigue and excitement for whatever they were going to show. But I had to chuckle to myself, because it's when did we see this? It was 3 or 4 years ago that we got the announcement, or the first reveal trailer for Cyberpunk. And all these years later, we're at 2018 Microsoft conference, and we get another trailer. And I'm not dissing that at all, because it does. It does look good from its trailer.
At least this time they gave
some more substantial. Yeah, they gave some more substantial stuff. But I was just kind of funny that we didn't see an actual gameplay thing. Which it makes sense though, because a lot of people are rumoring that this is going to be a launch, or it's going to be a cross-platform from this generation to next generation. We'll see how that goes, but I'm looking forward to seeing more. I am a huge fan of sci-fi. And so seeing, CD Projekt Red handling a world like this, it's going to be hard for them not to do good, because of just their track record in general and how they deal with, the community service. So I'm looking forward. Well, you know what I mean.
No, I know what you meant.
Yeah. So, I'm stoked for it. I hope we see some maybe at Sony's, maybe later on. I don't know if we're going to see any at the rest of this E3, but if we do, I'm definitely going to be all in on entry.
Yep.
So that's basically the completion coverage of this conference. There was a lot of games that we covered. Typically, we go into what we want to see for the next conference in the upcoming E3, but we're going to get right into recording our coverage and take on Bethesda. And if you want to see what we think about next week's conferences, you can check out the end of that video, because we'll probably do it there. But for now, this is going to wrap up our video of Microsoft's conference. And so stay tuned for Bethesda's, and also next week for Sony's and Square Enix and Ubisoft, because we're definitely going to be covering that, and we're going to have loads to say, I'm sure.